Hey guys, what's up? Happy Friday. We've made it through another week of remote learning. Today we are going to be taking a look at theme as it relates to Woods Runner. And today's lesson is going to be important not only for Woods Runner, but also for our next lesson on Monday that has to do with George versus George. Because you're going to start to see that the themes from both books are very, very similar. Okay? So today we're going to focus on Woods Runner. At this point, you should have read chapters 7, 8, and 9. But if you didn't, please stop this video now, go back and read it, then watch this video. But I'm also going to be reading you chapter 8. So if you've been up to date on the videos, I read chapter 7 yesterday. I'm reading chapter 8 today, and we'll go from there. Okay, today's content framing question is, what are the emerging themes in Woods Runner? And now emerging means the themes that are starting to come out, because we can't determine what the actual theme of Woods Runner is until we've finished the story, but we can start to get an idea of what these themes are now as we've read enough of it that we have a lot of information. So theme we've studied many, many times, but I actually like the way that Wit and Wisdom breaks theme down. And they say to take the word theme and break it apart. And the way they say to break it apart is into the words the and me. Because what you can do then is you can draw a line like this for the, and me starts the word message. So just a reminder that theme is the message that the author is trying to teach you throughout the story. And normally when the author is trying to convey a theme or express the theme to you, he uses the characters, thoughts, feelings, actions, and also what they learn throughout the story that hopefully you are learning as well. And we are talking about chapters 1 through 9 of Woods Runner. And in these first couple of chapters, there's been many things that lead to the themes that are mentioned here, okay? I'll go through these themes with you, I'll explain them, and then as I read chapter 8 to you, I'm going to try to find some pieces of evidence that back some of these themes up. Got it? Okay. This would also be a good time that if you are not following along in Woods Runner, make sure you have Woods Runner, the PDF copy handy, and yeah, just so you can follow along when I start reading. Now, the themes so far that are emerging, that we're starting to see, are all very different, but in the same idea. If you're thinking about Samuel as a person, you can see all of these themes in what Samuel has done to this point in the text. So the first theme is that the American spirit kept the Patriots fighting despite their odds of winning. So I'm going to translate this one a little bit for you. So basically, the American spirit kept the Patriots fighting despite their odds of winning. So despite their odds of winning, were the Patriots, were the rebels supposed to win the American Revolution? No chance, okay? That was one of your race responses the other day, is who do you think should have won the war based on what you read in George versus George? And a lot of you did answer that the British probably should have won, but the Americans were resilient and had that American spirit, meaning that they wanted to keep fighting because they had this cause that they believed in, so they wanted to fight for it. Obviously, the idea of independence was a big deal, and then they wanted, and despite their odds of winning, they weren't supposed to win. But even though they weren't supposed to win, they kept fighting. They were the ultimate underdog. The second one, knowledge is more important than power. So this kind of falls in with the first one, because we saw in our George versus George, I'm giving a lot of spoilers here for George versus George themes, wink wink, that the British were more powerful. But when we talked about advantages that the rebels had, the war was being fought in America, in the colonies. So obviously the rebels had more experience of the terrain and knew where to go and knew what to do to give them a little bit of an edge. Now, the next one is never underestimate the drive to win. And this one, again, relates directly, not durates, relates directly to the first one. Because even though the Americans were like the smaller, like little brother type deal, they wanted to win so bad that it was like, don't count us out. We have a chance. And ultimately, they did wind up winning. Courage is needed to overcome danger. So this could be true as the Americans in general, but it's also true for Samuel. We've seen a lot of this so far with Samuel, where he's had to be courageous throughout the text. And then the last one, which is one that I really identify with and really do think is a strong candidate for Woods Runner, is that love of family can drive a person to overcome obstacles. So obviously right now in Woods Runner, Samuel is on this mission to try to find his parents, and also the other people that might be alive from his settlement. And he's going through the forest, trailing this group of natives and British who have his settlement people with them. And so he's really in a situation where he could, be killed at any moment. He's kind of had a brush with death, if you did the reading, no spoilers there, but he's doing this because he loves his family. He's not just doing this because it's somebody he knows. And I think about this, and I think if anything ever happened to Mary Kate or Ellen, I would kind of be doing the same thing that Samuel is doing. I'd be going through whatever I had to do in order to help them or get them back, whatever it might be. Okay? So think about these themes now, and make sure you have chapter 8 pulled up, and we'll start reading a little bit. So chapter 8, we'll start with warfare. The British procedure when fighting was to march at the foe in a close line, with 2 or 3 ranks of men. The front rank would fire at 50 or 60 yards, then drop back and reload while the second rank stepped forward and fired, dropping back and reloading while the next rank came forward and fired. So basically they were in straight lines across, and the first line would fire, then they'd go to the back of the line. The next line would fire, they'd go to the back of the line. And while they're in the back of the line, they'd be reloading so they could constantly keep firing. This rolling valley had the effect of creating a kind of mass firepower. The weapons were very simple, but it was almost impossible to stand against the line when the men grew close. Quit firing together and charge screaming. It took a special kind of courage to stand ready when a line of howling men ran at you with bayonets aimed at your stomach. Many times, American soldiers turned and ran rather than face the British army with the wall of British steel. So bayonets are these long knife things that were on the end of their guns. And you'll see that when we look at George versus George again, that it's like a long knife or sword that comes off the end of the gun. So chapter 8. The natives began whooping and dancing around the large campfire, firing their muskets in the air in celebration. Samuel crept out slowly until he could partially see what was going on. He started to move back under cover when there was a sudden increase in the racket, and the sound was different. The Indians had been firing in the air as they danced, which caused the explosions to go up and away. They were firing smooth-bore muskets, weapons that made a muffled barking sound. But this new sound had a sharper, cracking quality of higher velocity rifles. Samuel crept back out to the edge and saw that the shots had come from the north side of the clearing where another trail came in. 6 or 8 shots. Great clouds of black powder smoke came rolling out of the forest. A pause to reload, then 8 more shots. The Indians and British soldiers were stunned. A few Indians and 1 soldier went down, probably dead. Several others were wounded and hobbled into the brush for cover. But the Indians and British recovered and returned fire. Samuel was jarred by 2 important facts. First, whoever was attacking, this might end in the rescue of his parents. Second, he should help them. So he sees that somebody's coming to attack the British and Native Americans that he's been following and says to them, oh wow, this might be a good time for me to go help and get my parents back. He moved into the clearing near the trail, raised his rifle, cocked it, and without thinking of the enormity of what he was doing, aimed at the nearest British soldier. He was less than 50 yards away. The German silver of Samuel's front sight settled on the red uniform. He set the first trigger and was moving his finger to the hair trigger when he heard a noise behind him. He wheeled, his rifle coming around in time for him to see the two Indians who had nearly caught him earlier running straight at him. What? Half a word, then one Indian, the one farther away, leveled his musket and fired. Samuel felt the ball graze his cheek. Without thinking, his rifle at his hip, he touched the hair trigger and in slow motion felt the rifle buck, saw the small hole appear in the Indian's chest. Then, through a cloud of smoke from his weapon, he watched the Indian fall as the other Indian swung a tomahawk in a wide arc, and he couldn't raise his rifle in time to block the blow. A tomahawk, which, if you guys don't know what a tomahawk is, it's like an axe, was coming at his head, and he tried to duck. But the white-hot pain exploded as the side of the tomahawk smashed into his forehead, and then nothing. So, we obviously see that Samuel got himself in a little bit of trouble and he wasn't being too cautious. Now, I'm going to issue this challenge again. If you are watching the video at this point, you are going to be answering some questions related to themes, giving your opinion on which theme you think might be the best one, and so on and so forth as your assignment today. Your secret action, though, in terms of if you post what I'm about to tell you on the stream first, you will receive a prize pack. It's currently $140 on Thursday, and no one has done it for yesterday's video. But for today's video, if you are able to write the words that are on my shirt, they're very simple. Yes, exclamation point, yes, exclamation point, yes, exclamation point. The Islanders, yes, yes, yes. You write this on the stream first, you will receive a prize pack. Very simple. All you have to do is write yes, yes, yes with exclamation points on the stream, or as a comment to your work, whatever you might do. If you're the first one that does it, you get the prize pack. Cool. So enjoy your weekend, and I will talk to you guys again on Monday. Peace.